'cause I'm preaching in the choir. Can I get the mic a little higher? Give me your desire. I can be the star you rely on. You're lost in my days and you can't look away. Don't you know what I'm here to say? Never running wild. Yeah, I'm all you need. I'ma be your rider. Shut down on your knees. I'ma be your rider.
Gay! Gay! Thank God you don't have more viewers. In fact, you have too many for this crap. Clearly, someone with the same terrible worldview as the subject matter. These comments are great! Gay! You sound like a Reddit mod in gay. Gay boy, gay faggot, gay butt faggot. Pete Hegseth, shirtless. Oh yeah, Pete, do your worst. Shave my beard and make me eat it. Hog tie me and choke me like I'm an immigrant. I really like girls. Sydney Sweeney, am I right? Jesus Christ, Ian, how lonely are you? I don't kink shame, but goddamn. To quote a master poet of the 20th century, everything is fucked, everybody sucks. Elon Musk kyling during the inauguration, the LA wildfires, David Lynch dying straight out of the gate in 2025 in part because of said wildfires, Stephen Colbert getting canceled by CBS in the state, Disney bending the knee to Trump to suspend Jimmy Kimmel, the numerous icons we lost this year, Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle being brutally murdered allegedly by their son,
6-7!
Republicans getting caught texting literal Nazi shit to each other and getting slaps on the wrists, the stifling of free speech in America, people getting disappeared for the crime of being brown, the destruction of 200 years of American history to build a fucking ballroom, the perpetually 16-year-old looking AI actress Tilly Norwood seriously being floated as an idea in Hollywood, fascism taking over America, the Ellisons buying Paramount, Netflix or Paramount looking to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, which is making me root for fucking David Zaslav to tell both Paramount and Netflix to fuck off, people forgetting what basic cinema etiquette is, me uploading a defense of Rachel Zegler and have Nazis crawl down my throat, the fact that I had to see Snow White to defend her, Trump, Jenny Center, RFK Jr.'s insane, what else do I have to say? The art of 2025 reflects the times we're living in. Die With a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars was the biggest hit of 2025, was released in August of 2024, and is the safest song from both artists. One of the biggest new hit songs of the year 2025 was Flavorless Pseudo-Christian Weddingcore Mush, sung by the whitest white boy to ever white boy. Thanks to Time of the Shadows, I learned that literal praise music was on the hit parade in 2025 by another whitest white boy to ever white boy. That was until Huntrix, a fictitious K-pop group from the biggest fucking movie of the year, that had a limited theatrical run because Netflix put a stop to the demon known as Alex Warren and briefly breathed life into the pop charts. But Huntrix was powerless to stop the ultimate demon, Taylor Swift, releasing constant variants of the life of a showgirl for fear of fictitious animated K-pop groups and or Charlie XCX topping the charts again and having literally her entire album take all 12 top spots opening week. The medium I was more invested in this year was television. Television had the finger on the pulse of America. The bit is about a doctor who suffers from PTSD after losing his mentor to COVID as he and the entire staff deal with ruthless patients in an underfunded hospital in the course of a single 15-hour shift. The Pit Season 1 got inducted into my perfect seasons of television as every episode is a 10 out of 10. Andor Season 2 is a bold middle finger to fascism when it is utterly needed, and will probably be the last time ever that Star Wars takes a risk. The studio is about how art and commerce don't exactly make good bedfellows, and is one of the funniest new shows I've seen in years. Speaking of single-take shows, Adolescence is about how the manosphere corrupts young boys to commit heinous acts, and episode 3 is the best singular episode of television I've seen since Ozymandias from Breaking Bad. And South Park had their best episodes in years as staunch libertarians, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, turned Donald Trump into Saddam Hussein because they knew that dressing Mr. Garrison up as Trump isn't going to cut it these next few years. All of this to say that 2025 in film was perfectly okay. Lots of mid, lots of awards contenders that were just fine or downright insultingly terrible, a film that epically missed the point of its source material, War of the Worlds 2025 existing. 2026 is where we're going to see what cinema is actually going to be like post-pandemic and post-strikes. But that's not to say there weren't absolute gems released this year. I was ready to call this one of the worst years in film. However, in the last 3 months, there were some major heavy hitters that made putting together this list extremely hard. The good movies released this year were really good because they had their finger on the pulse. This year took some big swings, and some of them were absolute grand slams in a sea of corporate slop. It's because of film critic and famed Nancy Mace ratioer Zoe Rose Bryant's One Battle After Another Letterboxd review that I decided to elongate this and make it a top 15. Here are my ground rules. Don't be upset if your favorite film doesn't appear here. Before we begin, I want to give a special shout out to Pee-wee as himself. If this were a feature-length film, this easily would have been my number one. This is a fantastic documentary that takes a look at Paul Reubens and the conflicts that come with being the larger-than-life persona of Pee Wee Herman, while being an extremely private person to the point of being combative with the filmmaker on how Reubens wants his story told, all while secretly battling cancer. This is a documentary that is unflinching and honest about its subject, but it's also a wonderful look into his life and creative process and a damning indictment on tabloid media. The final moments of this doc genuinely made me tear up. This is one of the 2 releases of 2025 I gave 5 stars to on Letterboxd. Also, rest in peace, Lynn Marie Stewart. Another horrible loss. Another special shout out I'm going to give is Kill Bill: The Whole Bloody Affair. This would have been on the list proper if it didn't already have limited theatrical exhibitions prior to this. That and the cynical Fortnite tie-in. Fuck that. This is the definitive version of the film and is essential viewing if you're a Quentin Tarantino fan, even if Tarantino himself is making it hard to be a fan of his. No, Quentin. 16-year-old Nickelodeon bit part player Austin Butler would not be a better pick than Paul Dano, who I'd argue at times steals There Will Be Blood from Daniel Day-Lewis. And now some honorable mentions, movies that didn't quite make the cut but I still enjoyed. The great A24 movies I'll probably never watch again double feature. I'd call for a Sally Hawkins Oscar nomination if it weren't for Amy Madigan. Bring back cheesy erotic 90s thrillers, please. I get Austin Butler now, but Tarantino is still wrong about Austin Butler in There Will Be Blood. This film will be deemed fucking prophetic in 5 years, hell, maybe even sooner. The opening scene of this film alone is worth the price of admission. I live 10 minutes away from where the climax of this film takes place, and Samara Weaving was in my hometown. Of course I dug this movie. Goddamn Questlove is fucking great at making music documentaries. Rest in peace, Sly Stone. I'm pissed at all the quality work we missed from Brendan Fraser because someone at the HFPA played grab ass. Seriously, Criterion, give this a 4K release. And my honorary number 16 is No Other Choice. I literally just saw this a couple days ago. If they cut 10 minutes out of this, I would have probably had to have rewritten the favorite films video. This would have been on my top 10 otherwise. So put on your good jeans and fight someone for a Labubu. These are my top 15 favorite films of 2025. Number 15. The Naked Gun movies are a near-perfect trilogy of films. So I was worried when I saw the teaser trailer. Then Pamela Anderson takes a chair in the second trailer and I was sold. 2025 is a year that we really needed to laugh. The Naked Gun 2025 is a near perfect laugh-a-minute romp. Liam Neeson slots into the role of Frank Drebin Jr. perfectly after years of typecasting hell. Pamela Anderson has great comedic timing and delivers a great performance as Drebin's love interest. Not to mention, she has an all-time great Criterion Closet episode. It's a film that brilliantly mocks propaganda right down to the genius casting of propaganda staple CCH Pounder as the head of Police Squad. It's also incredibly well made by director Akiva Schaffer of the Lonely Island fame, who films this like it's an old school 90s action film. I also love the fucking snowman scene. The snowman scene is what put this on the list proper. It seriously is a scene of the year candidate. But it's not just Neeson, Anderson, and CCH Pounder who make this film great. It's Louis Teague and Danny Houston, the latter his best performance in years, as great foils to Frank Drebin Jr. Paul Walter Hauser is also great as his partner. Normally, I would take into account the criticisms of the original creators of a comedy franchise, but David Zucker, the director of the extremely dated and extremely unfunny An American Carol, went on the right-wing podcast The Rubin Report to slam the film. He is absolutely wrong about how Seth MacFarlane handled The Naked Gun, and is mostly pissed because his version didn't get off the ground.
Everything was, young as opposed to old guys. Yeah. Except that, in my story, we're not doing a 60-year-old actor. We're refreshing it with a young actor. It would have been Andy Samberg, some young comic guy.
Zucker already epically missed the point of his creation, and I'm not saying that as an evil lefty. Leslie Nielsen was first and foremost a character actor, not a comedian. That's what made Airplane, Police Squad, and the Naked Gun movies great. Casting Andy Samberg goes against the concepts Zass had for both Airplane and Police Squad. I'd argue that it's done in the spirit of the Zucker brothers' legacy and is a worthy addition to the Police Squad franchise. It also has a lot of great sight gags as well. Leslie Nielsen was notorious for loving fart jokes. His gravestone seriously has "Let Her Rip" as an epitaph. On my second viewing of this film, I was scanning the background for more jokes and I cracked my ass up when I saw them. I literally blinked and missed Priscilla Presley's cameo when I saw this theatrically. Here's hoping they do a part 2. Number 14. Ketchup Entertainment, a company that released a live-action Hellboy movie that you didn't know existed, cares more deeply about the history of Warner Brothers Animation than Warner Brothers themselves. Not only did they intercept the rights to this film, they saved Coyote v. Acme from being Thanos snapped for tax purposes. My favorite movies as a kid were the compilation Looney Tunes movies, the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner movie and Daffy Duck's Quackbusters, which featured newly animated segments voiced by Mel Blanc and were used as a backdoor to introduce old shorts to a new generation. Warner Brothers never made a proper full-length animated film with the Looney Tunes until now. The Day the Earth Blew Up is not just a sincere love letter to Looney Tunes, it's a sincere love letter to 2D animation in general. You have updated classic designs of the characters, and then you'll get Ren and Stimpy inspired animation on top of that. Farmer Jim cracks my shit up. Most importantly, they used actual voice actors. They didn't get Charlie Day to play Daffy Duck or Seth Rogen to play Porky Pig. The biggest name in this film is Jonas Poha himself, Peter McNichol. Eric Bauza is pulling double duty as both Porky and Daffy. That is talent. I also love that this truly feels like a Looney Tunes short made into feature length. It's also appropriate that they teamed Daffy and Porky together, given their history of being comedic foils to each other. It's such a joy to see this wonderful film being saved, and I can't wait to see Coyote v. Acme. Number 13.
Die, Nazi scum!
We're going into 2026 with this mentality. If I hear, "Both parties are two wings of the same bird," come from you, I'm gonna assume you're fucking MAGA or you're rich enough you can fuck off to another country like George Clooney. Because 2025, and not even a week into 2026, decidedly disproved that theory. I had to force myself to watch season 5 of Stranger Things. I had very little interest in it, and I was in favorite films video writing mode these past couple of months, so my time was limited. Even the fucking Duffer Brothers were getting tired of 80s nostalgia and went straight into cribbing from 90s nostalgia, referencing Jurassic Park and T2. So if we're waving goodbye to not just Stranger Things, but 80s nostalgia in general, then Freaky Tales set 80s nostalgia off on a good note. Freaky Tales is an anthology film set in Oakland in 1987 that has a bold middle finger to bigotry and white supremacy. Each segment connects together beautifully, as we are treated to a segment where punks defend their DIY venue, which follows up with the producer of this film, hip-hop legend Too Short, self-inserting himself into this film to get defeated in a rap battle by a female rap duo, which is actually genius to have a rapper of his stature get defeated by two confident women. Then there is Pedro Pascal's bi-monthly appearance in a media property seeking revenge on his wife's killer, with the contractual obligation of protecting a baby, all while real-life Golden State Warriors basketball player Eric Sleepy Floyd kills Nazis while leading a religion. I love a good ensemble film, and Freaky Tales is just that. It's so weird yet welcoming to see Tom Hanks in a decidedly violent and bloody R-rated movie just to show up for about 3 minutes as a video store owner named Tank and kill it. Pedro Pascal is genuinely excellent in this film as he seeks revenge for his wife's killer. I also love Dominique Forum and pop singer Normani as the rap duo. But most importantly, the night and day difference with Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck as writers and directors between Captain Marvel and this. If they brought this energy to Captain Marvel, that film would have been a fucking masterpiece. I was shocked to find out that they wrote and directed this. They bring a truly kinetic energy to this film, and this was a film that felt like it was truly fought for. So congratulations, Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. You won 2025's Most Improved Award. This is a film that features both the biggest name in Hollywood with Pedro Pascal and fucking Tom Hanks, yet barely got a theatrical release. I had heard about this secondhand. I absolutely love this movie, and it's currently on HBO Max to stream right now. Number 12. Companion was a film released last January, a month that is a historically bad month for non-wide releasing Oscar contenders. It was also written and directed by Drew Hancock, aka Oates, in the phenomenal Yacht Rock web series. Seriously, that's one of my favorite facts about this movie.
Let's do this! Hall & Oates!
Companion is a darkly comic horror movie that deconstructs the myth of the nice guy. What would happen if your fuckbot gained sentience and decided to stop putting up with your shit? One of my favorite performances of the year is Sophie Thatcher as Iris. When I watched the first season of Yellow Jackets, out of the young talent of that show, I was drawn to Sophie Thatcher, as she had Juliette Lewis down to a science. Here, I'm glad she's getting a role that's worthy of her talents, whereas Yellow Jackets should have just been a one-and-done limited series. She is able to convey so much that she does fool you into believing she's human. Seriously, stop spoiling key plot points in movie trailers! But it's also Jack Quaid who does his nebbish good guy shtick, and here it actually works. Josh goes from being this seemingly good guy to an evil prick. I also love some of the song choices here, as it's clear his experience on Yacht Rock knew to pick the deep cuts of the 70s and 80s. Emotion is one of the best Bee Gees songs the Bee Gees never performed. Spoilery trailer aside, Companion is a damn great movie and an absolute blast. Mr. Oates, do you got any advice for Josh?
Get your dick out of your heart.
I really should do a fun and deep dive video essay on the Yacht Rock series. Number 11.
I'm gonna show you how it's done. Hot tricks don't miss. How it's done.
There is no reason I should love this movie as much as I do. I'm straight. I'm white. I'm a metalhead. I'm 41 years old, and I love this movie. K-pop Demon Hunters is genuinely exceptional, with 3 distinct, likable leads and music that absolutely rules. Originally, this was going to be an honorable mention, but seeing the sing-along version with a crowd erased my remaining issues. Netflix, take the hint. Your Idol is the most metal villain song since Hellfire from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Golden is a great pop track, and how it's done speaks for itself, given I did a whole video about that song. This movie didn't just capture the zeitgeist, it was the zeitgeist. I barely heard about it until film critics and film YouTubers I respected praised the hell out of it. This was destined to die on Netflix. Remember when Lin-Manuel Miranda starred in and wrote songs for a movie made by Netflix and Sony Pictures Animation in 2021? Or how about when Genndy Tartakovsky released his R-rated 2D animated film Fixed with Netflix and Sony Pictures Animation in 2025? Thought so. Adam Sandler had a shiny new Happy Gilmore sequel dropping around the same time, complete with a Subway tie-in that was destined to draw eyeballs to Netflix. As of editing on January 4th, 2026, K-pop Demon Hunters was still in Netflix's top 10 movies and became their most viewed release ever, while Happy Gilmore 2 came and went. What really elevates this film is how it's both a love letter to K-pop and a critique of it. The film nails how brutal the industry is. The pressure, the loss of autonomy, the grind. There are executives in K-pop who make Lou Pearlman look like Mr. Rogers. Don't believe me? Ask New Jeans or 50/50 about their contracts. The liar reveal trope actually works here, especially with Rumi staying locked the fuck in on choreography even after being exposed as a demon. Huntrix's goal is to just have a spa day. And then there's EJ, Rumi's singing voice and the main songwriter of K-pop Demon Hunters. She dreamed of being a K-pop idol and was chewed up and spit out by the system at the ripe old age of 22. She didn't get mad, she got even. She immigrated to New York, studied music production, and then wrote some of the best pop songs of the year. The industry that rejected her came crawling back. I stan EJ. Every interview with her, you can just see how genuinely passionate she is for music. Her demos already sound final. More importantly, she has a great head on her shoulders. She's not writing embarrassing diss tracks about Charlie XCX. I highly recommend watching Daniel Wall's podcast episode with EJ, as you can't help but notice how genius of a composer she is. Seriously, the What It Sounds Like demo sounds better than the final product. Speaking of Lin-Manuel Miranda, what was the most iconic line from Hamilton again?
Immigrants, we get the job done.
An immigrant helped to make the biggest fucking movie of the year. That's actually fucking poetic in the hellscape that was 2025. Number 10.
Well, fuck. This is really nice.
Have you ever seen a movie that you missed theatrically, but the moment you finally get around to watching it, it ends up being the absolute perfect fucking time to do so? As I hinted at earlier, I really fucking hated After the Hunt. After the Hunt was a film that rubbed me the wrong way when I'm expected to root for neoliberal Julia Roberts to shut up a student who credibly accused the professor of sexual assault. Here's an actual line from that fucking movie.
All your generation, you're scared of saying the wrong thing. When did offending someone become the preeminent cardinal sin?
What's more is this film knew that I despised Woody Allen and used his exact font for the credits. I ended up watching Sorry Baby on HBO Max exactly a week after I watched After the Hunt theatrically. And this film is night and day a better film than that piece of shit. Sorry Baby is After the Hunt's absolute polar opposite. It is a haunting yet darkly comic film of a woman trying to process the trauma of being raped by a professor and trying to pick up the pieces of her life after the fact. It's also pro-cat too, bro! Fuck pro-dog propaganda! Yes, Butters, it absolutely is pro-cat. Yes, huh, buddy? Writer, director, and star Eva Victor of Billions fame does a fantastic job exploring the aftermath of sexual assault and how hard it is to talk about it. One shot they do is extremely haunting, as it focuses on the rapist's house for an uncomfortable period of time in a disturbing time lapse. It's more haunting than showing the actual act itself. Their screenplay is nothing short of spectacular, as you have these great conversations with Naomi Ackie playing her friend, who is so ride or die that she offered to burn the rapist's house down. Another comparison point to After the Hunt: the neoliberal administration is treated like a punchline and not the actual main characters. The administration is only on screen for 2 minutes tops. The delivery of
"We are women"
from both of them cracks my shit up. I also love what Victor has to say about that particular scene.
We punch up, we don't punch down. So we punch up to the people who are in power, who are making lives harder and who are being cruel or using their power to do evil things.
Which goes to Eva Victor's performance. You can tell that this film was personal to them. Their performance in this film is charming, funny, and at times downright heartbreaking. For comparison purposes, I watched Materialists, Celine Song's follow-up to Past Lives, and the flaws of Past Lives are amplified to 1,000 in that film. Seriously, why is the broke non-Pedro Pascal love interest Captain fucking America? Sorry Baby should be a huge Oscar play, but won't be because Chloe Zhao is going to be the Academy's token hyphenate woman this year. You can nominate more than one woman and non-binary people in directing and writing categories, you know? Number 9. This was a huge year for Stephen King adaptations. In 2025, we see two of his absolute best. These two films have a duality to them. One tells the story of an ordinary man in reverse who makes a profound impact on his town, written and directed by Mike Flanagan, who is first and foremost a horror movie director. The other is a savage and brutal horror movie wherein if you can't keep up a certain pace walking, not only would you lose your chance at winning money, you fucking die. From Francis Lawrence, the man who directed the Hunger Games sequels and several iconic music videos. I wonder if Tarantino was going to call this a ripoff of Battle Royale. Both of these films have incredibly underrated performances in them that should get awards consideration but won't. Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson in The Long Walk give spectacular Oscar-caliber performances as the two teens who are centered in this titular long walk. Even the cliched Stephen King bullies are fully three-dimensional human beings. Tom Hiddleston gives the best non-Loki performance of his career as a man dying of terminal cancer, but choosing to live in the moment. It's not just Hiddleston either. Jacob Tremblay and Benjamin Pajak are excellent as his younger counterparts. But the actor that convinced me to make these two films a tie is Mark Hamill. It's so refreshing to see Mark Hamill get big, meaty parts that prove he should have had as big of a career as Harrison Ford's. But he's so set for playing both Luke Skywalker and the Joker that he doesn't seem to mind not having Harrison Ford's career. In both The Life of Chuck and The Long Walk, he is revelatory in both. He's both the stern yet loving grandfather in The Life of Chuck and the demonic taskmaster in The Long Walk. Both of these characters are fully three-dimensional and fleshed out. Both of these films contain multitudes. A horror filmmaker tries his hand at a sincere drama and succeeds. A music video director makes an extremely bleak film that King wrote as an allegory for the Vietnam War that is somehow relevant to today. Go check both of these movies out. Number 8. One of the things I did like about 2025 in film was that it started to realize that adults wanted movies too. Black Bag is simply a fantastic film that relies less on explosions and more on dialogue. Black Bag is basically a Jean Le Carre novel with the stick removed from its ass. Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett are both fantastic as a couple who love each other so much that Fassbender is willing to commit fucking treason to clear her name. These two are the textbook definition of ride or die. What's more is that these two have such white-hot sexual chemistry together. If this film were released in 2024, it wouldn't be Demi versus Mikey. Cate Blanchett would have swept every single major award. Soderbergh directs the hell out of this film, as even scenes that involve house guests have a palpable tension to them. Every move Fassbender makes is consequential. The score in this film is propulsive and jazzy, but another thing I love about this film is each character is cut from in their own ways. They all want to one-up each other. And I also love that David Koepp wrote the screenplay, the guy behind Jurassic Park and the first Spider-Man movie, and Stir of Echoes, and it feels like it. But it isn't just Fassbender and Blanchett putting on brilliant performances. Marissa Abella, aka the only reason I didn't know Star Back to Black, is excellent in this film along with Pierce Brosnan being cool as hell. I also saw why Regé-Jean Page was the breakout of Bridgerton. Dude is a star. It's also a tight 90 minutes that doesn't overstay its welcome. Black Bag is one of the most underrated films of 2025, and I feel you should seek it out now. Number 7.
What do you wish to do, Hamlet?
I should be one of the players with a sword.
Hamlet isn't the first Hamlet-related thing I saw in the theater this year. I paid cash money to go see Taylor Swift's The Official Release Party of a Showgirl, as I had plans to do a spoiler alert on it, but sickness prevented me from recording it. You are treated to a bunch of sloppily put together lyric videos to censor versions of the songs from the album, and Taylor Swift half-heartedly explaining every song, with each explanation coming down to, I have a bunch of yes men that think I'm the next Bob Dylan. The centerpiece of this is the music video for the lead-off single, The Fate of Ophelia, named after Hamlet's doomed and abused lover. I think it's safe to say that your English teacher Taylor Swift fell asleep during English class because she is not in any way, shape, or form fucking Ophelia. She's cheer captain and we're sitting in the fucking bleachers. All this to say, thank God Chloe Zhao returned to wash the awfulness of that album out of my mouth. Remember when Hollywood threw Chloe Zhao in director's jail for the crime of doing something different with the MCU and Eternals? Chloe Zhao was never a director that would shut the fuck up and do whatever Kevin Feige tells her to do. This is someone who prides herself on casting real people in her films. With Hamlet, we get what is essentially her masterpiece. When you watch this film, you see Zhao at the height of her powers. Each shot in this film looks like a painting. The moment a 4K is announced, I'm ordering it, because this feels like a movie that would look absolutely gorgeous in the format. While there is an actual scholarly debate as to whether or not the titular Hamnet was the direct inspiration for Hamlet, the film does make a strong case for the notion of it being inspired by Shakespeare's deceased son, despite it being based on a work of fiction. Jessie Buckley is the frontrunner for Best Actress at the Oscars. Buckley is able to emote so much with just a simple look. As Agnes Shakespeare, you feel her every moment. When it does get to particular scenes with her, especially scenes I won't spoil, she puts on a masterclass of love, hope, and sorrow. I really hate the casting of the four Beatles in the upcoming Beatles biopics. It shouldn't be the focus group approved white boys at the moment. It should be relative unknowns who are one big role away from superstardom, preferably from Liverpool or Northern England. Paul Mescal getting cast as my favorite Beatle Paul when he was the worst part of Gladiator 2 made me angry. But in Hamnet, he's an excellent William Shakespeare. You see a man who is passionate about his craft. You see someone who is turning his pain into a masterpiece that has been read, studied, and acted for generations. Though I am still hesitant about him playing Paul McCartney. Hamnet is the best Hamlet-related thing of the year. While I did dig the concept of Grand Theft Hamlet, the other Hamlet-related thing I watched in 2025, I felt it was too staged, and I already said my piece about the fate of Ophelia. Hamlet is a film that is Oscar bait, sure, but it's the type of Oscar bait I enjoy. Oscar bait can be good and compelling if I actually care about the subject matter. Ahem, after the hunt! Number 6. So I think it's safe to say who the cook in the Safdie brothers is. The Smashing Machine, a film that spotlighted Toledo's own Mark Curran, directed by the public face of the Safdie brothers, Betty Safdie, ended up being just okay. Though I will say, the Chungaland needle drop in that film is a Scene of the Year candidate. Fantastic scene. No notes. Josh Safdie, on the other hand, made the "Oh my god, best movie ever!" While I can't quite get there, it certainly is one of the best films of 2025. The Safdies are fucking excellent at making you root for complete and total pieces of shit. One of the comparison points of this film is easily Uncut Gems, a film that also centers on a cocky, irredeemable asshole that you actually root for. Safdie uses 80s soundscapes and songs not because 80s, but because it fits the character. This is Patrick Bateman, but a ping pong player. I said this in my letterbox, but it bears repeating. This film looks and feels like a film Martin Scorsese would have made in the mid-80s with members of the Brat Pack in prominent roles. You could tell that The Color of Money was already a primary influence. It's a take on American exceptionalism set in the world of ping pong. Marty Mauser is an arrogant prick who thinks he is truly the best at ping pong, but in reality really isn't. When he is faced with a demonstrably better player and loses, he cries about how the game is rigged. Gee, I wonder why this isn't my top 10! This film is a goddamn powder keg waiting to explode. This film is 2.5 hours long and doesn't feel like it at all, especially on a second viewing. A B-plot involving a dog and legendary exploitation filmmaker Abel Ferrara kept me on the edge of my seat. This is also Timothée Chalamet's best performance to date. He is genuinely great at playing assholes. If he gets nominated for and wins the Oscar, it is well deserved. But this truly is one of the best casts of the year. I won't be surprised if this wins the first ever Best Casting Oscar. I'd be afraid to go up against this Kevin O'Leary if I pitched an invention on Shark Tank. Gwyneth Paltrow actually delivers an Oscar-caliber performance as a fading movie star, and if she wins, it would actually be deserved. I loved Odessa Zion in Hellraiser 2022, and here she proves she is here to stay. I even love seeing Fran Drescher as Marty's mom. Marty Supreme is an absolute gem of a film, and it's only at number 6. So what are the 5 other films I thought were better than the "Oh my god, best movie ever"? Number 5. If I had a nickel for the number of times I missed a movie theatrically in 2025, only to catch it at the most absolute perfect fucking time to do so, I'd have 2 nickels. But it's weird it happened twice. On December 3rd, 2025, CBS's centrist editor-in-chief Barry Weiss decided to pull a story about CCOT less than 3 hours before airtime because Daddy Trump told her to do so. Hi, Editor Ryan here. So as of January 18th, the CCOT segment did air on 60 Minutes. However, I still stand firm by what I said. Fuck censorship and fuck state-run media. It should have aired when it aired. The next day, Larry Ellison decided to sweeten the pot for Paramount to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, and while I'm recording this, decidedly told them to fuck off. A few days after the CCOT story was pulled, I ended up writing it was just an accident, as that was one of the films I knew I had to see, given its 2025's winner of the Palme d'Or and more than likely a Best Picture play. Writer and director Jafar Panahi made this with a skeleton crew and mostly unknown actors. For added context, Panahi was imprisoned in Iran for the crime of filmmaking under an oppressive regime, so he had the guerrilla shoot this film, given the subject matter at hand, knowing Iran would not give him the permits to shoot this, and what's more, he smuggled this film out of Iran and is competing as France's pick for Best International Feature. This dude is a fucking badass. I would watch a movie, fictional or documentary, about the making of this film. If any filmmaker is allowed to be unsubtle, it's Jafar Panahi. This is a bold fuck you to Iran's oppressive regime. This film took brass balls to make. It's also a brilliant meditation on revenge thrillers, as the crux of this film is our protagonist Vahid getting several prisoners he knows to confirm it's his torturer. I'm a photographer, and if you catch me in the middle of a wedding session asking me to identify your torturer, I don't think I'd be willing to help, because wedding sessions are stressful as fuck. If you think being asked to identify your torturer is stressful, try dealing with a bridezilla. So kudos to the photographer for going along with Vahid. But this film has a palpable sense of dread and anxiety to it, as this guy Vahid captures also has a family of his own and is expecting a child. Panahi is able to humanize this man despite knowing firsthand what an Iranian prison is like. The last 15 minutes of this film, which is shot in an unbroken take, is a Scene of the Year candidate, with stellar writing, stellar acting from the mostly unknown actors in this film, and the stellar guerrilla filmmaking at hand given the circumstances surrounding it. It was just an accident was so good I felt the need to watch it again immediately after the fact. Also, go check out the Iranian death metal band I featured, who was also imprisoned in Iran for the crime of creating art. Number 4. Roll that beautiful Beware Darkness needle drop.
Watch out now, take up your word for. Get a new daddy, get a new daddy. Police.
This is Trevor Moore, the de facto star of the sketch comedy troupe The Whitest Kids You Know. Chances are, if you even know about The Whitest Kids You Know, it's because of this guy. But what you didn't know is that Zach Krieger, the writer and director of Weapons, was also a part of this troupe. Sadly, Trevor Moore died on August 7, 2021 after falling off of a balcony at 2:30 in the morning. Krieger wrote Weapons as a way to process his grief about losing his close friend and collaborator. Exactly 4 years and a day later, Zach Krieger releases this sophomore film, Weapons, complete with a tribute to him.
I hope there's no more hot dogs in the day, 'cause we're up to 7 now.
Weapons is what I like to call a next level movie. The sophomore film that determines whether or not an upcoming filmmaker has the juice. I felt Barbarian was a great first act, but a bad overall whole. Though, if the rumors are true, Barbarian is getting a release from Criterion, I get why they would select that. It would probably be cheaper and more substantial than what Disney does with their limited edition 4K steelbooks. Weapons, meanwhile, is Zach Cregger playing his fucking flag and saying, "I'm here to stay." This is such a great film that plays on topics such as grief, paranoia, depression, and alcoholism. It's a film that, after David Lynch died, I truly feel is worth calling Lynchian. Another Scene of the Year candidate for me is, well, the scene I used for the intro. There's just something so haunting, so beautiful, and so hysterical about children Naruto running to the tune of Beware of Darkness by George Harrison. My second favorite song off of All Things Must Pass, behind My Sweet Lord. Told in interconnected snippets, you get different perspectives from each character. The teacher who is just trying to get through her day without death threats, a concerned father out for blood, the principal who cares more about his school's image than his faculty's well-being. We even get a perspective from a fucking crackhead. And then you get to the coup de grace. Uncle Buck's girlfriend, Amy Madigan, giving a genuinely Oscar-caliber performance as Aunt Gladys, this villain who is psychologically terrifying. This is a character that will stick with you for days on end. Chances are she won't be nominated, but I would genuinely put her in my final 5 for Best Supporting Actress if I were an Academy voter. Weapons is such a damn great movie that has me excited to see where Zach Cregger goes. He is by far and away one of the most exciting filmmakers out right now. It's nice to see a standalone horror movie that is bold and exciting. Oh, for fuck's sake! Number 3. This one is the Scene of the Year, and it's not even fucking close. This is the mark of a filmmaker who is absolutely confident in his craft, as this scene illustrates the point as to how blues music gave birth to every modern genre of music under the sun. It's a pure, joyous celebration of artistry, as the big tech oligarchy wants to strip artistry away with AI slop. Seriously. Fuck Cinemark for playing the Coca-Cola AI slop commercial literally before the studio logos of every movie I saw in December. What Ryan Coogler, Ludwig Göransson, Miles Catan, and the numerous featured and background extras do with this one scene sends chills down my spine. Rolling Stone gave The Life of a Showgirl a fawning and rapturous 5-star review, and decided that Sinners wasn't one of the 20 best films of 2025. Don't worry, I got Sinners covered, and in my top 3 nonetheless. I'm not letting that go. That album fucking sucked. If that doesn't speak to how far Rolling Stone has fallen, I don't know what does. But I digress. Sinners is so many things. A sprawling new Hollywood-style genre mashup, a celebration of music, and a story of Ryan Coogler making his own film on his own terms when he has spent his past 3 films in franchise landscapes. The cards were stacked against him, to say the least. Variety decided that a $61 million opening weekend for an original film and having a single-digit drop in its second weekend was a bad thing. Seriously, the last film to accomplish a single-digit drop on its second weekend was motherfucking Avatar. When you're getting ratioed by Ben fucking Stiller, maybe writing isn't your career path. Sinners is a film about a kid who has a genuine passion for blues music that is happy just to be playing on a stage that is about to be crawling with both literal and figurative vampires. The performances in this movie are exceptional. Michael B. Jordan as both Smoke and Stack are excellent. Haley Steinfeld's delivery of the line,
"Then you stuck your tongue in my coos and fucked me so hard,"
is the best 2 seconds of film of 2025. Delroy Lindo gives a masterful performance as a drunk piano player. Even Jack O'Connell's Remick is a compelling villain, given Coogler also has a love for Irish folk music and realizes that they too were a persecuted class.
I'm obsessed with Irish folk music. My kids are obsessed with it. Look, my first name is Irish. I think it's not known how much, how much crossover there is between like, you know, African American culture and Irish culture, and how much that stuff's loved in our community.
But the MVP is Miles Caden. This is my favorite performance of the year, and that's a feature film debut. Not only did he have to learn guitar in a short period of time, he plays it like he's been playing guitar all of his life. He just perfectly captures every facet of Sammy Moore, the scared church boy, the soulful blues artist, and to top it off, he grows up to be played by Buddy fucking Guy, a new inductee into the all-time great Cameos Club. Literally, the only reason this isn't higher on my list is because it sandwiched the actual ending into the mid-credits scene. Sinners would have definitely been my number one if it didn't do that. This film is a victory for both Ryan Coogler and for original films. Number 2. There are 5, count 'em, 5 Warner Brothers affiliated movies on my favorite films list. 7 if we include Pee-wee as himself and Final Destination Bloodlines. This is the 3rd Warner Brothers movie I spotlighted in a row. So it begs the question, would The Day the Earth Blew Up, Companions, Sinners, Weapons, and One Battle After Another be the same films if either Netflix or Paramount controlled them? We already have an answer for The Day the Earth Blew Up. Zaslav Almost Thanos snapped both that and Coyote Be At Me, but Ketchup Entertainment picked both of those films up. With Netflix, the other 4 films would be in theaters for 2 weeks and sent straight to Netflix, because at the very least Netflix understands you need the capital A auteurs to balance out the copious amounts of corporate slop that they put out. Hi, Editor Ryan here. I really hate talking about current events as they are unfolding because Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos just came out and said they would commit to a 45-day theatrical window. I wrote that line before he said that. Still, I stand firm by what I said just now. With Paramount, Companion and Sinners would get shelved quicker than you could say Batgirl. We can't have a film that has a sentient fuck doll reject a white guy, or a blank check movie made by a black man that says white people appropriated black music. Weapons would have had Josh Brolin be the hero throughout and recut to have Julie Garner as a secondary villain. Either way, both Netflix and Paramount trying to buy Warner Brothers should be null and void. But because MCU stands were so desperate for Kevin Feige to control the X-Men and Fantastic Four and have them deliver 4-quadrant focus group approved quips, which led to the overrated but good by default Fantastic Four film of 2025, they ended up rooting for Disney's strip mine 20th Century Fox for parts in 2017, and now we have 2 different, yet dangerous monopolistic acquisitions for both Warner Brothers Discovery, thanks to Disney buying 20th Century Fox. To quote a 20th Century Fox movie tagline, "Whoever wins, we lose." But One Battle After Another wouldn't even see the light of day under a Paramount acquisition. It wouldn't even be funded. We can't have leftists be the good guys now or white supremacists being decidedly evil. I have been mixed on Paul Thomas Anderson these past few years, especially with the overrated Licorice Pizza. One Battle After Another is his best film in years. There are a lot of moving parts that make this film work. Its minimalist score by Johnny Greenwood, its unexpected moments of comedy, its undefined timeline, and a loser that you end up rooting for. One Battle After Another grabs you and doesn't let go from its first frame. We have no specific timeline on this film aside from 16 years later. You don't know what year it takes place in. Some may argue that it takes place in the present day, 2041, or the more sensible option, 2018, given the choice of needle drops used. Not putting a time frame on this film is the statement of this film. Combine that with absolute career best work from Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Teyana Taylor, and an absolute star-making performance from Chase Infinity. This is a film that is already an instant classic. I love that the characters are flawed. Bob spends his time smoking pot and watching the Battle of Algiers. Perfidia Beverly Hills gets full of herself and stages a robbery that goes completely south. If these characters were completely and totally perfect, this movie would be fucking boring. Then there's the entire third act, or the best third act of the year. This was so beautiful to watch for a second time in IMAX. Anderson's camera, as it takes you up and down the hills, has a distinct confidence to it. You fear for Willa's safety. I've been on a William Friedkin kick as of late, and this is a throwback to films like The French Connection and Sorcerer, the latter being the best first-time watch of 2025 for me. This is the type of film Warner Brothers used to make, until they kept trying to make fetch happen with numerous franchises. This is a film that feels right at home with the Warner Brothers canon. Warner Brothers was the first studio to tell Nazi punks to fuck off with Confessions of a Nazi Spy in 1939, and continued to do so, specifically making Casablanca at the height of World War II. One Battle After Another continues that joyous tradition of telling Nazi punks to fuck off. That is, unless Paramount acquires Warner Brothers and decides to make a Christmas Adventurers Club spin-off movie where they are the good guys, because David Ellison doesn't know when to say no. And my number one favorite film of 2025 is... One Battle After Another was the other newly released 5-star rated review on Letterboxd. But usually my favorite film of the year is determined by how I feel now and in the moment. I rewatched the films I knew would be in my top 5. I'm Still Here ended up hitting a lot differently when I rewatched it on Netflix towards the end of the year. I'm Still Here isn't just my favorite film of 2025, it's an important one. As I started writing this entry on November 20th, 2025, a sitting president just threatened death to the opposition party via Truth Social for the crime of making a video telling the military to only follow lawful orders at 10:21 a.m. that morning. Not just the opposition party, former fucking veterans in the opposition party. That same day, the U.S. Coast Guard announced that swastikas and nooses were okay to have around, until the U.S. Coast Guard rescinded that less than a day later because they got caught. The minute that Donald Trump posted that traitorous shit to Truth Social solidified I'm Still Here's number 1 slot, despite the fact that I originally gave it a 4.5. I'm Still Here is a film that centers around a woman who just simply wants to know if her husband was murdered by an authoritarian regime in Rio de Janeiro. It takes her literal decades to find out about his fate. She has to go through a lot of red tape to find an answer. There's an exact reason why this is my number 1. Have you been following the news lately? I want to play a clip from my recent spoiler alert episode on Wicked for Good, where Brianna was asked this question.
Yeah, I actually had a friend reach out to me, knowing that I'm a big fan and stuff, and he asked me, he's like, is this film political? Like, actually political? I'm not just talking about, like, Elphaba versus the Wizard political. I mean, like, is there some underlying themes here? And, like, yeah.
All art is political, whether you like it or not. But that particular anecdote Brianna brought up got me to think about how people flip the fuck out over anything deemed political. As I'm writing this, the penultimate episode of the last season of Stranger Things got review bombed for the crime of Will coming out as gay. Just simply mentioning that he is gay so we can save the world from Vecna. He didn't even consummate this confession. Apolitical art doesn't exist. Which brings me back to I'm Still Here. I'm Still Here is a Brazilian film that placed the mirror in front of America without even realizing it. It's a decidedly political film that talks about how fascism destroyed a family's life. If I didn't have New Realms Media, I would not have a social media presence at all. But every day I log on to social media or get a breaking news notification on my phone. I just can't help but ask myself, when will this shit fucking stop? When will we have politicians that will stand up to this Stalinist traitor? How many people of fucking color are going to get disappeared in the name of quote, unquote, freedom? I just saw ICE murder a woman in cold blood as I re-recorded this fucking voiceover. Allow me to quote from a radical left Marxist.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route and how fast. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are. Our Constitution is a document in which we the people tell the government what it is allowed to do.
How about another quote from that same radical left Marxist, from that same farewell speech?
I've spoken of the shining city all my political life, but I don't know if I ever quite communicated what I saw when I said it. But in my mind, it was a tall, proud city built on rocks stronger than oceans, windswept, God-blessed, and teeming with people of all kinds living in harmony and peace. A city with free ports that hummed with commerce and creativity. And if there had to be city walls, the walls had doors, and the doors were open to anyone with the will and the heart to get here.
Jill Stein voters, do you feel better now voting for her, now that Ronald fucking Reagan is to Trump's left? Non-voters, did you stick it to the man? Hey, bro. I'm trying to stop you from ending every video as if you're going to kill yourself. How about the good things that happened this year, bro? You met your heroes. Jason Mewes autographed your 25-year-old VHS copy of Dogma, bro. Brian O'Halloran autographed your Clerks the Animated Series DVD. You met your high school crush, Joey Lauren Adams. She loved your shirt, bro. Marilyn Gigliotti from Clerks introduced herself to you. You finally saw Linkin Park. You saw Spirit Box twice before they're going to get prohibitively expensive. Your K-pop Demon Artist video you threw together because you hated the song Ordinary did exceptionally well. Cue the good news montage because you need cheering up, bro. 'Cause I'm a punk rocker, yes I am. 'Cause I'm a punk rocker, yes I am. 'Cause I'm a punk rocker, yes I am. Butters is right. Let's accentuate the positive. At the same time, though, that faint bit of hope that the Paiva family has for finding their patriarch kept me invested in this film. Eunice Paiva became outspoken in her beliefs in democracy and goes to fucking law school in her 40s to fight for human rights for other Brazilians. That is so kick-ass. We see how tight-knit the Paiva family is throughout the course of this film. Even in the face of adversity, they always try to accentuate the positive. When a magazine tells them to look serious for a photo, they are joking and smiling. That is power. I'm Still Here is a tale of hope. It's a film about making the best of a bad situation. The authoritarian regime in Rio de Janeiro wanted to break their spirits, but they didn't. By the end of the film, they are still a tight-knit family. Eunice Paiva was able to make major changes in Brazil, and it started with a question. Cadê meu marido? In 2025, Brazil threw their corrupt authoritarian former president, Jair Bolsonaro, in prison. Meanwhile, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are worried about pandering to fucking Republicans that don't exist and will probably never exist again. What will 2026 hold? I don't know. But 2026 sure as shit is not off to a good fucking start. I delayed projects I planned to do or outright scrapped them because of my depression. So I'm choosing to smile in the face of adversity. Because to quote an illegal immigrant,
maybe that's the real punk rock.
And if you feel the need to insult my politics or call me gay in this comment section, Just know you're giving me free engagement on YouTube, and I shoot with beautiful women that wouldn't even give you the time of fucking day. Be sure to like, comment, share, hype, whatever the hell that means. Spread the word of New Realms Media. Follow me on all my socials at New Realms Media. And until then,
I just want to say, finally, go Birds.